Hello everyone, this is Garrett, and this is Serious Sam 3, and we're about to do level 5, Under the Iron Cloud.
Hey baby, was your daddy a pilot? Because you are really freaking ugly.
Look, it's a mod! It makes me not have to censor things. Also, Harpy!
What's that, Prince? This is what it sounds like when doves cry. Thought so.
Yeah, the Harpies. They fly around, they do ranged attacks when they're far away. They do melee attacks when they're close, and all around they're pretty jerky. Now this level, this might take a while. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably gonna take quite a while. Also the Harpies are just sort of sitting around every now and then. You kind of want to shoot them with rockets if you so desire. Gets rid of a lot of them very quickly, and it makes them a lot less scary. Sometimes they actually just keep standing still as well. Other times they fly towards you. Like that one doesn't really seem to want to move, so we're just gonna shoot a rocket in that direction while we focus on the other one. But yeah, this level is gonna take a while, most likely.
Easy, ladies. There's enough Sam for everyone.
Probably around 35 to 40 minutes, if not longer. Because in the previous level, we had some examples of power-ups that spawn enemies like that one. In this level, it's sort of different in that if there's a power-up, you can almost assume there's going to be an enemy attached to it as well. And it's just gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while to get all these guys dead. And there's gonna be a lot of walking around every now and then, just trying to figure out where exactly they are. This is not the most well-prepared level that I've done, honestly, but there were just so many enemy spawns in this level that require you to basically run around in circles, so I didn't know what to do. So we're just gonna do it this way. If it doesn't end up working out, I'll just figure something out, but if it does end up going at a reasonable pace, we're just gonna keep moving forwards. So that rocket launch is pretty good. In the previous level, I didn't really talk about it that much, but every now and then you'll find rockets in boxes, like boxes that you can open. And when you open those, you will just get the maximum amount of rockets you can carry, which is pretty great. Another thing worth noting is that enemies are dumb, like really dumb sometimes, and the Harpies sometimes get stuck inside buildings when they fly towards you. And that makes it very easy to miss them when you're trying to kill everyone, and it's a bit of an issue, but hopefully we won't have that problem. I took notes. There's another level where I actually have notes in front of me on my phone, because it tells me how many enemies I need to have killed at like 3 specific spots. And yeah, I'll try to mention that every now and then. Also, the big arachnoids. Don't know if I mentioned this in the previous videos, but it was mentioned in the comments a lot. When the game first came out, they had an anti-piracy measure where they had one, well, kind of tiny arachnoid really, that was kind of a jerk. He was invincible, I believe. He was super fast, and he just destroyed everyone. It was kind of hilarious, and I think it's actually available as a mod now as well. Because these days, it's just, like, if you pirate it now, it wouldn't really make a difference. But back in the day, when it was first released, everyone laughed as they got destroyed by an indestructible creature. And we walked forward way too far, but that's mostly just because there's that many enemies. There's a pickup over there. We're gonna pick it up right now by jumping from building to building, crouching under this because it's barely too low, and jumpy jump. Sniper bullets! We don't have a sniper rifle, but I'm sure it's gonna be useful one day, and if not, then, well, that's tough, but I'm sure we'll find a use for it eventually. We're just gonna keep moving on, grab all the secret areas that live in these lands. I'm a bit worried right now already. Like, I'm already at the point where I should have killed one more enemy. Not really 100% sure. Also, secret C4 explosives. We haven't really used them offensively so far. We've mostly just used them to destroy a single wall. But they will actually come in use later on, when there's just going to be a bunch of stuff that is going to try and hurt us, and we're not going to let it. But first, we are going to push this button. Hey, that's the enemy I was talking about. Cool. That was number 31. We are now at 31 enemies. And this particular point is kind of important for numerous reasons. First of which, there's behind this bag, to be electricity, which is always good, of course. And there is also this dumpster. You can jump on top of this dumpster, and then you can jump on top of that wall from here if you so desire. And it actually skips a fair bit, because if we move forward here, this happens.
Nothing says, honey, I'm home, like a stick of dynamite. Honey, I'm home.
And eventually Quinn will have a response to that particular statement.
Jesus Christ, Sam, do you have to blow everything up?
As a matter of fact, I do.
There were some complaints about Serious Sam in this game, that he was a bit too serious. It's more that he's just a lot more deranged. But you know, every now and then it's kind of fun to just be able to blow something like this up. Would be kind of cool if you could do it outside of cutscenes, but what are you gonna do? We're just gonna move on. This is probably the first instance of a non-secret double shotgun, so if you were looking for that in a non-secretive manner, then that is that. But yeah, like I said, you can actually jump over the little wall over here and you just skip this entire cutscene, but you also skip this bridge. And it causes you to skip the double shotgun, obviously, but it also causes you to skip a couple of enemy spawns over here, which we now have to take care of using our trusty sledgehammer. We could use a double-barreled shotgun, but honestly, I don't like it that much in this game, and I think it's mostly just because the sledgehammer is just that good. I mean, obviously we just got hit and that's kind of sad, but like, this gun just shoots a little bit too slow for my taste. Like, the sledgehammer is a little bit quicker, and it's as effective. It's usually quite effective as well in terms of damage, so it's just a bit fiddly to use this thing. Especially when there's this many enemies at the same time. It's kind of usable when there's only a couple enemies, but in most cases the sledgehammer is just better. And in other times you can just use the gravity hands, which actually work pretty well as well a lot of the time. But there you go. Jumping down here, off of that bridge, we're gonna run into a new enemy. It's Tiny Arachnoid. He's dead. You can break their necks.
Oh, poor baby. Did someone step on your anthill?
Sadly, the big ones do not appreciate that. So we're just gonna have to destroy this. This is where it sort of starts getting a little crazy when it comes to trying to kill everyone in the level, because there are a large amount of enemies. We're gonna have to be at 107 enemies when we leave this place. And it mostly is gonna revolve around just running around a lot. But while we do that, we might as well just get some secret areas and all that good stuff. Get this armor, because it's for free. Get that armor, because it's for free. Get this minigun ammo, which we can't use right now. Also, it says health full, so I guess there's a health bar up here somewhere. But it's mostly for the minigun ammo. Moving on, there's just a bunch of enemies being spawned right now. We're just going to ignore them and try to find some cool barrels to jump on, because that's always fun. Because we have to jump over this little wall. And as per usual, okay, we got it pretty quickly. Another secret laser. I don't know when we're actually going to get a non-secret laser. But there's a lot of secret ones. We've had like one every level, the last 3 levels or something. But there you go. If you really like the laser gun, it is pretty gettable in that regard. And from here, I'm actually going to try to jump on top of this rooftop. I'm kind of surprised that happened in one go, but sure. Because we want to jump from rooftop to rooftop. You can actually probably do it from these boxes as well, but I always have so much trouble with that. And I find this route just to be a lot easier and more reliable in that regard. But we want to jump from air conditioning unit to air conditioning unit, preferably not slide off every single time. Whoop. And we fell down, so we're just gonna have to do that a couple more tries, I suppose. But it gives us a chance to shoot at things while they otherwise would have some trouble, like, reaching you. Like, supposedly it is possible to use these boxes to jump on top of this, but I always go too low. Maybe if you go, if you do go to that wall, I guess it's actually maybe not that bad. Because the wall seems to be a little bit lower. It's a little bit hard to control that way, though, but it is possible. So there you go. Alternate solutions to simple problems. Very useful. Let's try it again. And we are having some difficulty. But hey, enemies keep coming our way, so we could just pretend that this is just our plan to kill all the enemies. We're actually just luring all the enemies to this particular safe zone over here, while we just desperately try to make this reasonably simple jump on top of a rooftop. And now I'm kind of scared to go because Clear Skeleton's actually hurt, so I'd rather want them to not be here immediately. But yeah, this place is just really awkward to move around in as well, because there's a lot of little just edges that you hit, and you end up just getting stuck on things. There we go. Alright, cool. So there's this thing. It looks a bit weird. It's a cannon. It's pretty great. We're gonna use it later. We're actually gonna use it in this level, surprisingly enough. And there's also this piece of graffiti which says, "And so was Smo." Which, I feel really helps us in the long run. That piece of graffiti right there. I'm a bit worried about that clear skeleton, but hopefully we won't die too much. Oh, and it's actually just not even here. So there you go. Somewhere over here there's a clear skeleton, and there it is, and it's confused, but it'll get there eventually. There's also a Gnar here that's stuck on a wall. There we go. Oh, there's another one. What? I didn't even hear that one. It was stealthy. But yeah, this is kind of a common occurrence where you're just running around and there's going to just be an enemy somewhere, and the battle music is just going to be playing the entire time pretty much. Because there's just that many enemies just all over this place, and just about every power-up you pick up, there's like, oh, someone picked up a power-up, better spawn some more enemies. Also, the rockets are just really good in this place, because it only takes one rocket to kill the small ones, and the small ones are actually a bit of a problem. They shoot quite fast, and they deal a reasonable amount of damage. Obviously not as much as the big ones, but they deal enough damage for them to be annoying. Which is why rockets are just really not a bad idea. When they're close, you can just use the melee attack because it is just really effective against these guys. It is a really quick attack that just destroys them. And the sledgehammer doesn't actually kill those guys in one hit either. Which is definitely worth memorizing because they can be a real problem if they're close to you and start doing their melee attacks as well. So it's a good thing one of the rockets actually managed to hit him a little bit beforehand, so he only needed a single sledgehammer hit. But the melee attack in that regard is just really useful. Plus you can use it from a pretty long range as well, like a longer range than the sledgehammer definitely. So it's definitely a good attack. Good, very good. There's an enemy somewhere. It's gonna shoot me in a second and I'm scared. But I kinda wanna jump up this wall because there's secrets. And I wanna get secrets. But we'll get there. Slowly but surely, we're getting all these secrets. We're getting these secret cannonballs, but more importantly, the secret, useless secret area. There's a lot of these little areas where you can sort of jump behind a small wall, and there's just nothing in this level. This is the only one that counts as a secret area, which is weird, but there's a lot of them, so that's cool. It's very possible that you found some of the other ones, but that's the one that really matters. Oh, hey, it's a big dude. I guess that's bad. Again, this is not the hardest level in the game. Like, it has kind of an annoying ending, but aside from that, this is not a difficult level, honestly. Which is why I haven't really memorized where the enemies are and what they are even. I'm just sort of going with it. Because most of these just die in a single rocket. Like, having so many rockets makes this pretty easy. As long as you're just a little bit careful, try not to get too destroyed all the time, you're probably gonna be okay. And the rocket launcher is just very good at keeping things at a distance. But there's also just a lot of sneakily hidden rockets just lying all over the place as well, like behind little walls and stuff like that. But yeah, we still need to kill 25 enemies, believe it or not. There's still 25 enemies just hanging around, and I'm just gonna sort of systematically go through this area, because that's really what you need to do to actually find everyone. There's a couple of these areas as well where there's just a bunch of nothing, except for some power-ups. But we're already full on C4. That might actually be kind of useful as well, though. C4 becomes very useful in a second. Like in the next area, actually. I really enjoy using C4 there. And having C4 be full is pretty great. You don't even need to visit secret areas to get completely stocked up on C4. I think we only got like 2 or 3 slabs of C4 by going into secret areas, so it's nice that it's doable to just get those without really having to look for them. As long as you just sort of walk around a bit, you will probably have enough of them. And next to that, it's not like super necessary or anything. I just think it makes the next area a little bit easier. But just gonna keep going, just gonna go into every building, pick up everything I could find. I think in the middle here, we haven't really done much yet, and you can already hear a Gnar just running around again as well. And apparently, like, it's just, there's so many spawn triggers here. There was just too much to memorize, so I figured I'm just gonna walk everywhere, and then most likely I'll kill everyone. And that's usually how it works, but it's a good idea to have a general idea how many enemies you do actually need to kill in each area, because otherwise you end up at the end of the level and it's like, oh, I missed one. I have no idea where. And that's just a very common occurrence where you're trying to figure out where all these enemies actually are. And that sort of makes the challenge interesting. At the same time, it makes it really frustrating. Because you'll just be like, I don't know. And then you do the level again and you just get everyone. It's like, what did I do different? And no one really knows. And yeah, it makes everything a bit different. It makes everything take a little bit longer. But it makes the journey a bit more worthwhile. I don't know, sure. I'm willing to take that as a valuable reason as to why we're doing this in the end. I think we should be nearing like the okay, he's stuck. I think we should be nearing like the last couple of spawns here though, because we're already at 104. We need to be at 107 when we leave this particular area. Plus it helps that this way we're just gonna grab so many health and armor power-ups that we should be okay for whatever is gonna come up next. And that's good. Problem right now though, not really sure. Oh, I can hear someone. I can hear a friend. Someone's alive again. And one more. And somewhere's number 3. Probably already walked. Yeah, there we go. That's a good clear skeleton. Boom. Alright, we can finally move on. It may have just seemed like random moving, but there was systematics applied to that situation. Yes, there's more C4 here. It becomes kind of important because when we move forward here, autosaves. And it's going to spawn a pretty large amount of clear skeletons. And this is what happens when you just sort of place some C4 just in this general area and then you just walk back a bit. It is pretty strong. It has a pretty large range. It's going to hit a lot of stuff. It's going to kill a lot of things. Even when it's coming through 2 doors like this, you can actually like attach it to enemies as well. That one just hit the door there, so that's kind of sad. But it gets rid of a lot of these guys, and it just makes this area a lot easier because there's a lot of clear skeletons that spawn here. And being able to get rid of most of them using C4 is nice. Makes it not so bad. Makes it not so worrisome. Nah, it was alright. Plus we got a bunch of our C4 back already. But moving forward, we are going to find more, unfortunately. But there's more rockets here, so it doesn't really matter that we use a bunch of those either. There's not that many areas in this level where you can completely refill on your rockets, but there's a couple areas, so you shouldn't worry too much about the ammo you're using when it comes to explosives. Explosives, pretty good in this level. I would recommend them. But when we move forward, it's going to spawn more clear skeletons, so we're going to just come get Sam. I think that is quite possibly the worst one-liner in the game. Maybe the entire series. But, you know, after a while you've written all of them and then you just, I could just probably write a book about how terrible that one was, but whatever. We're gonna move on, try to kill these guys, kill that arachnoid, and move behind the wall the moment it starts shooting. Look out for that clear, oh boy. I shot by accident. Don't worry guys, I know what I'm doing. Every now and then I just press the left mouse button by accident. It makes it more interesting if you're holding a rocket launcher. Makes it more exciting if you're just suddenly exploding in front of you.
How do you like me now?
How do you like me now? But yeah, over here, couple soldiers. Nothing really worth mentioning. They're just kind of hard to shoot because they're carefully locked behind cars and stuff. So, this is another area where we're gonna be for a while. The level itself is actually not that big. If you're playing on like tourist, which I can only imagine you're doing that for like speedrun reasons, but if you're playing this on tourist, you can just literally run right to the end. You can skip every enemy until like the last area, and you'll just be completely fine. But we're killing everyone, so we're moving forward and we're gonna spawn everything. And there are a large amount of enemies coming over here. Lots of explodey jerks, lots of Gnars, lots of clears, like just a bunch of everything we've pretty much seen so far. Which is actually pretty cool. It gives some different strategies. You're gonna have to switch weapons every now and then. Switching weapons halfway during the reloading, so you reload quicker. Use that sledgehammer every now and then. The double-barreled shotgun is like good enough to kill all these guys instantly, but again, the sledgehammer is just quicker. And most likely, you're only gonna hit the guy in front. So if there's like a spider in front and a kamikaze in the back, you're not gonna hit the kamikaze because their hitboxes are just massive and they will just block every bullet from reaching the guys behind them. I think if the double-barreled shotgun had like piercing rounds or something, it would be a bit more viable to use, but as it is, the sledgehammer is just more usable. The double-barreled shotgun, don't get me wrong, it is very fun to use, so every now and then I will just switch to it just because it is just kind of good to shoot a hole in someone, you know? Like, it is kind of nice to do that every now and then. But sometimes it becomes too dangerous and I'll have to use a melee weapon, which is better. It's an odd world we live in this game, but it's just the way it works. It's the way I'm going to do it, and it's the way I'm going to roll. These, like, big spider dudes are actually kind of annoying as well, by the way, because they use their range attack actually quite frequently. And it's a problem. It actually can deal a fair amount of damage in the long run, and that was unnecessary. I got stuck behind some enemies, which is not exactly what I had in mind. But yeah, their range attack is pretty big, and it very often actually hits as well if you're just moving sort of normally. So you do actually have to be a little bit careful of that. Like, these are actually reasonably annoying enemies that don't actually use hitscan weapons, so that's kind of interesting to see. But it might also just be because we're fighting more enemies at the same time, like we're fighting more than just one type of enemy. Because we're just fighting kamikazes, but simultaneously we're fighting everything else, and due to the fact that we mostly have to focus on the kamikazes, they have just more of a chance to actually fire at us. Whereas normally we just run at them with a sledgehammer and go crazy, but it doesn't really work that well if they're exploding people in your way. But we survived. That means we can move forward. There's gonna be... we're gonna be here for a while. There's gonna be another 103 enemies. 113 enemies that we're gonna kill in this area alone. So as you can probably imagine, we're gonna be here for a while. Also, the rocket launcher is basically fantastic versus the arachnoids. It's probably the best weapon we have right now, as you may have noticed due to me using it every single time we fight one. But we do also still have a cannon, and a cannon finally becomes relevant because we climb up this wall, and there is an extremely similar looking wall in the previous area, but in the previous area this is an invisible wall. In this one it isn't. I don't approve. I don't approve of making two areas that look exactly the same and one having an invisible wall and the next one not, because you'll enter it once and you'll be like, oh, that's an invisible wall, and you'll see the exact same thing and you'll be like, well, that's clearly an invisible wall again. Why would I try? But that's just the direction they decided to go in with some of these secrets. Here's a pill, and we're going to use this pill to die, because it spawns a secret nut house. It spawns 3 of these guys, and it gives you a good idea how the cannon works. Just like in the previous game, you can hold the left mouse button to charge it, and the longer you hold it, the faster it will shoot and the more damage it will do. If you charge it entirely, those guys will die in one hit, and if you don't charge it entirely, they lose like if you just click it, they'll lose like half of their health or something like that. And that area without the secret cannon is a nightmare. It is so hard. So that's why I used that and made it easy peasy. Also, there's a helmet. Secret helmet. Mini secret helmet, in fact. And there's 2 more secret areas waiting for us in this area. But we're gonna run around. I'm going to do this systematically. First, I'm gonna grab these, because why not? This is going to be another rather large circle, although I think I tried to go too systematic. I went too far back. There's not actually anything there. But over here, I swear, there is totally a route you can take. Huh, I thought... I guess I was just confused about the general layout of this entire area. But that's fine. There's so much ammo in this place as well. Like, you're very unlikely to run out of ammo for any of your guns in a lot of instances in this game, unless you're just constantly using the rocket launcher or just constantly only using one weapon. You'll just be entirely fine when it comes to ammo in these first couple of levels. I don't actually remember how it is in the later levels, but there's just no ammo situation. It's just always good. I mean, obviously I am switching between weapons a lot, and using the sledgehammer a lot obviously doesn't cost any ammo at all. But due to the fact the sledgehammer is just that good, you might as well. I mean, why not, right? It's a very strong weapon. It's kind of dangerous to use due to the fact that it's a melee weapon, obviously, but the rocket launcher is also kind of dangerous to use on account that you might accidentally blow up your face. So, you know, there's ups and downs to just about every weapon, and I'm not really sure why I'm getting hit by everyone here. I should be a little bit more careful, but it's fine, because I'm sure there's enough healing power-ups to go around. And if that's not, then whatever. This is kind of an interesting place on its own, though, because the way that this place is laid out, it sort of just has a lot of enemy spawns, so regardless of which direction you go, you'll fight something. Which means that if you just basically make a giant circle, there's going to be enemies behind you as well for that very reason. And it kind of makes it interesting because you'll have 3 different routes to take, and they'll all actually be different because you'll be fighting different enemies for each of these routes. And I'm not really sure what the best one is, obviously, like the safest one, because I'm just going to try and kill everyone. But it is kind of neat that you can sort of plan out your route that way by just going, well, there were too many dangerous enemies in that place. I'm going to a different area and see if that works out better. And I think that's kind of neat, though I don't know how well that can actually be executed unless you're just quick saving a lot, which obviously a lot of people do, because it makes the game a little bit easier. Also, there's 2 arachnoids over there, and I'm going to shoot for rockets and then hide, because they do still hurt a lot. But 4 rockets is enough to kill these big dudes. It's pretty much the case in every Serious Sam games that 4 rockets is usually enough to kill the red arachnoids, and this is no exception. And that's good, I like consistency. There's a health power up over there. We'll grab it in a second. First, we're gonna see what's going on here, because I've been hearing enemies all over this place. Just about everywhere you go here as well, there's just gonna be some enemy spawns. If you go through the middle, you're gonna find a lot of bugs. If you go to the left, you'll fight what we fought previously, which is also a lot of bugs. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if you go to the right, you'll find a lot of bugs as well. But either way, you're gonna be fighting a lot of bugs, and they're gonna all be smashed hammered in the face. I'm pretty sure smashed hammered is a word, and therefore it is viable to use in this situation. Plus, there's a lot of armor lying around. The armor's actually like decently well hidden as well, so there's like a lot, but it's just a fair chance you actually just run past it due to the fact it's a bit like behind little walls and stuff. So here's some cannonballs. It's lying on top of a pallet. You can pick it up. Secret cannonballs. Cool. Pallet is gone. Cannonballs are gone. We can move on. Second problem. Barrels. That was really the only problem. It's not immediately obvious, but you can walk on this. It's very easy to do, in fact. And while you cannot see the health power up, there's just a really low quality texture over there. If you jump into the low quality texture, you get the parkour 1 health secret. And we can move on. And apparently there's some sort of nastiness going on. Yep. There's a bunch of jerks already all coming our way, trying to ruin our good times, and I am not having any of it because we have a sledgehammer. This is kind of like in Bioshock 2, where you have a drill for an arm, and this is just kind of what you do. There's a lot of enemies, you run in like an idiot, and you drill everyone in the face. It's a very effective strategy in every weapon that has satisfying to use weaponry. I hope so, at least. I think, like, if you can put a weapon like this in your game, the more satisfying you make it to use, the more fun it is. And if you just want to continue with the level, if you don't want to kill everyone, just jump down here and just continue onwards. Because this is where the level basically continues. But we're not done here. Of course we're not. We got a lot of stuff to do. We got people to kill. We got necks to break. We got health to pick up. That I totally knew was there. How far are we? 20 more enemies. Oh, that's not so bad. I don't need to kill 23 more enemies in this place. Sure, why not? What could go wrong? Nothing. Nothing can go wrong, is what? Because we're gonna get so many cool things that people be like, damn, no way we're gonna take that guy down. And that's correct. No one's gonna take me down. Not even all these bugs. I think if I just run back here, I might actually just spawn a whole bunch of everything, and then I'll just have all of that out of the way. And then if everything spawned at the same time, it'll die quicker. Right? And safety, it's no problem. I'm Serious Sam. I'm supposed to be fighting all the bad guys, and that's exactly what we're doing. Although once they start putting clear skeletons in the mix, I do actually get a little bit frightened. But there's some armor and health over there, so you know. We got our entire life basically planned out, and that ruined the plan entirely. Yep. So if you hit these guys 3 times, they actually get stunned for a bit. Like, there's just a certain amount of damage you have to take before they get stunned. And it doesn't make them so bad. You can kind of predict what you're going to do. Usually you can just shoot 3 rockets and then just, once the second rocket hit, you just run towards them, because then the 3rd rocket hits, and they get stunned, and then by the time they are no longer stunned, you're so close to them you could sledgehammer them to death if you so desired. Might not work. Might be horrible. Might be a horrible idea, but hey, at least you got to use your sledgehammer again. That's always fun. I'm gonna pick this up. Just in case. Just in case it's required. And indeed, more friends appeared out of nowhere. Try to ruin our day. This is actually a pretty horrible spawn point. There's like a lot of clear skeletons. If you take this path, you're just gonna run into clear skeletons everywhere. And the other path, are just bugs. I'd rather have bugs. Those are a lot less terrible. A lot less terrifying to fight. So yeah, don't recommend that route. It's filled with the nasty. Don't like it. Don't like it one bit. Where is that sound coming from? Is it you? Hello. Why are they looking at walls? I don't know. Either way. 8 more enemies. 8 more. Just 8. And then we're done here. Where are they? Well, there's one, apparently. When do they spawn? Where do they spawn? What item is it that does it? No idea. Quite frankly, it might as well be random, because like, the item you pick up, the enemies just spawn so far away that it's just not obvious what spawns what. I'll pick up something here, it'll spawn something over there. As long as you can suddenly hear the music go again, then I guess we did something right. And that's why I just didn't put that much effort into mapping this entire place out. That's why we're just doing it casually. It just leads to certain situations where I might end up just running around for a bit, but hey, it probably won't be too bad. Eventually we'll have crossed every pathway. Eventually we'll have killed everyone. Eventually we can move on. Look, there's an enemy just walking around. Where did he come from? I don't know, but now they're coming from the ceiling. Apparently I touched some spot trigger here and there, and it was the correct one. I'm not gonna... Yep, and a clear skeleton coming around the corner, because why not? And that is number 327. 327 enemies we have killed. And that means we can move to the next area, because we have, in fact, killed everything. Everywhere. Aside from the last area. Now, the last area is going to have a lot of harpies. And I'm going to kill 2 in particular, and then I'm just going to stand still in the middle for a bit. I'm going to kill those 2 in particular, because for some reason they don't move ever. Unless they get shot out. And that makes it very easy to miss. Also, if you suddenly see me load an autosave, means I died. It's possible. Bad things happen. It's also possible that an enemy got so stuck in a building that I just reloaded, and it's just... You'll see what happens. And indeed, the enemy got stuck in a building, which is great. I'm gonna try this again. Picking up the health power up, shooting that particular person, because why not? But mostly we're gonna shoot these 2, because there's like 2 all the way over there. And they have a tendency of just sitting there forever. I don't know why, but they just never get up unless you shoot them. And they're pretty easy to miss in terms of enemies for that reason, because they're actually kind of hard to see. And it's kind of hard to recommend weapons against these guys. The rocket might actually be the best due to the fact that it just... there's an infinite amount of them in this place. And also, sometimes these guys, as I said, get stuck in buildings, and if you shoot them when they're above a building, they can just land on top of it. Sometimes they get stuck behind just this entire area, because if you shoot them, then it's just a thing that happens. There's not really much you can do about it. But we're just gonna grab some stuff. There is actually a secret area over here. I should also mention that because I loaded an autosave, I'm not really sure what I've actually said and what I haven't. So if I start repeating myself, I am sorry. But it's just something that happens. But I'm just going to walk towards that secret area due to the fact that we need to grab it before we beat the level. And to beat the level, you need to kill a specific enemy. And you'll soon see which one that is. But until then, we're just going to kill all these guys. The moment we get closer to the secret area, it's going to spawn a bunch of more stuff as well. So we want to take care of these guys first. And you can already hear the spawning sound of a new harpy. There we go. You don't get stuck, do you? You're a good friend. These guys might actually be the only time the double-barrel shotgun is just a really good weapon to use, because these guys bop around a lot, and the sledgehammer is just really awkward to use against them. Also, secret health. Kinda hard to see, but it's definitely there. It's a 100 health power-up, and pretty useful if you're having trouble with this place. But mostly, I kind of want to just hang around in the middle now, for no other reason than if you just stay away from the just outer perimeter, there's just a larger chance none of them are going to get stuck. So I'm going to stand somewhere in this open area, just shoot a bunch of rockets. The rocket launcher, as you can see, if you manage to hit with it, it just insta-kills them. So there's no problems of them just getting stuck somewhere on a weird spot. They just explode. And if they explode, then they're dead. And if they're dead, they're good boy. Good boy. Very, very good board. They all die. Everyone die. We win. Good times. Only problem, if they get too close, you shoot yourself in the face with rocket. And these are actually the last 2 enemies. Wow, that's amazing. That's never gone this good, because usually this guy spawns while you're fighting them. Like, usually this guy spawns, like, while you're just halfway done fighting the harpies. I guess if you just kill, like, that specific one, it spawns it. But this is kind of a jerk. You don't want to get hit by that laser. That laser's bad. We can't currently hit it. We can only hit it when he's, like, opening some hatches, which spawn enemies. And I don't really like this boss. I never really like enemies that, or bosses that spawn smaller enemies. It's just kind of a mess. You only need to shoot 3 rockets in those things, but I like to shoot a couple more because I wasn't sure if I was going to hit those.
Not enough room in this town for both of us, partner.
He is quite big. But yeah, the only things you can actually hit are those enemy spawning things. And when they break, he's going to move on. And you only need to hit him to like a certain amount of health, so you can actually quite safely just run around here. And I like to be underneath him for as much as possible, which is not entirely safe, but it's more likely that you can actually hit him at all, because very often he'll just be in a really awkward spot and you won't be able to hit him at all. But you obviously don't want to get hit by that right there. And I think this might actually be enough to kill him. And I hope so, because this button is coming towards me. There we go. Health bar's gone. Every enemy's going to despawn now. None of these enemies count towards the enemy counter, so they just disappear. You don't even get points for these guys. I'm actually going to grab some rockets before he buggers off.
All your base belong to us, motherfucker.
That might be... No, that might also be the worst. There's not so many good one-liners in this level, but we beat it.
Quinn, you read me?
Loud and clear.
Just encountered a warship. Scared it off, though.
Huh. They're escalating.
Tell me something I don't know.
Sorry, just thinking out loud. The scientists were able to decipher a map. Apparently, there's another Syrian chamber beneath the Great Pyramid. The map calls the pyramid the tomb that hides a tomb.
Ah, mumbo jumbo, my favorite.
Here's the weird thing. There's no direct way in. The map just shows this isolated bubble. The words on it say, the Sphinx is the key. Whatever that means.
I think it means the Sphinx is the key. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to blow up a big stone kitty.
Sam, the scientists are almost positive we can figure out a solution.
Tell them I already thought of one.
Sam, you can't blow it up. It's a priceless artifact.
They'll just have to bill me.
Sam, this is ridiculous. You can't...
You know, most of the graffiti actually says that everything's basically Sam's fault, and it's not entirely wrong. He is pretty horrible. But whatever, we beat the level, and that concludes this video. So I hope you enjoyed it so far. Next time we play, we are going to do level 6, the Silent Riddler, and I hope to see you there. Bye-bye. Also, that might be really bad. Like, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. They get, like, weirdly stuck somehow. And then it's like, ah, thank God. That is the main problem as to killing everyone in this level, because that just happens so frequently.